This is Donald Trump Jr., Don Jr. for short. I'm sure people probably heard of the guy. He made a comment on furries, bizarrely. Listen to this.
The furry is like the trans community. They're going to be totally protected. They can bark at people, they can distract it because they think they're dogs and cats. We have to accommodate their insanity. Now, if someone says something or pushes back, I guarantee you, the normal person that's trying to get an education, that's trying to learn in school, trying to be left alone from people who'd otherwise be certifiably insane if it wasn't for 2024.
Certifiably insane.
That person's the one that's going to get in trouble, not the idiot. Okay?
Dude, what's up with this guy's teeth? They're unnaturally white. It's disturbing and weird. Furries do not believe that they are literally cats and dogs and wolves and whatevers. That is factually incorrect. What you're thinking of is otherkin. And otherkin is just a meme. It's not real. It started on 4chan and was spread around. And I guess, a couple of people came out of the woodwork who claim to really believe that they have the soul of a dog and they're trapped in a human body or some other nonsense. But it's just a meme. It's garbage. It's not true. It's fake. But, Don Jr. would fall for that kind of thing if anybody would, wouldn't he? Furries are just people who like to dress up and cosplay, basically, Like imagine playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One of the top games of 2024, I believe. Or Breath of the Wild 2, Tears of the Kingdom, top game of 2023, I think. Imagine dressing up as Link or Riju if you're a chick, got the swords and all that junk. Imagine dressing up as Cloud or Aerith. Yes, I know it's Aerith. It's always going to be Aerith to me. It's just cosplaying. It's just fun. It's just people dressing up and having a good time. Meeting up with other people who like dressing up. That's it. This whole sexual component thing isn't real. There's some subset of the population who is into that, I guess. But by and large, furries are just people who like dressing up and having a good time. That's it. Just like everybody else. I'm sure this guy likes going and hanging out with friends too. He probably dresses up for it also. Anyway, keep listening here.
Otherwise be certifiably insane if it wasn't for 2024. That person's the one that's going to get in trouble.
I don't even know what he's talking about. I feel like he's lost his train of thought and now he's just putting words next to each other because he doesn't know which word should come next.
24, that person's the one that's going to get in trouble, not the idiot. Okay?
Again, I'm lost. I'm sorry, man. I have no clue. Anyway, I wanted to trace this meme back. I wanted to figure out where this started originally. The answer is Lisa Hansen. Joe Rogan here, though, he repeated it, and he is as litigious as they come, honestly. It's such a pain in the ass dealing with Joe Rogan's copyright team. It drives me insane, but you know what? It's necessary, I feel, to talk about Joe Rogan's role in this, so we're going to. October 12th, 2022, Rogan comes out on his show and spreads this lie that furries, or what they really mean to say is otherkin, which is a fake 4chan meme. Otherkin or furries are coming out and trying to use litter boxes at school. It's fake. Quick interjection, don't skip forward, it'll just take a second, I promise. Watch the video to the end if you can, or at least a couple extra minutes. Every extra minute counts, because YouTube bases video reach off of watch time. Also, I'd appreciate it if you guys checked out my new book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a history of the religion mixed in with my own history of the religion. The last chapter of this book is this book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not basic stuff either. I really get into the weeds, but they're both consumable for somebody who's never been a member of the religion. Link to both of them is in the description. You can check them out on Amazon, Kindle, anywhere books are sold, or you can go to owenmorganbooks.com to find out more. Oh yeah, and this book is basically copyright free. The only stipulation is you have to keep the copyright page in and you can't make money off of it. If you want to share it, if you want to show it on stream, if you want to add to it, you want to print 500 copies at cost, you can feel free to do that. You just can't sell it to other people. I thought it might be useful in unwitnessing campaigns, along with some stickers. I also sell signed copies on my Etsy shop, which again can be found on owenmorganbooks.com. You can also hear it on Audible if you want to hear the audiobook version instead. Okay, back to the video.
There's kids, ready for this? My friend, his wife, is a school teacher.
I'm not even convinced of that.
And she works at a school that had to install a litter box in the girls' room because there is a girl who's a furry who identifies as an animal. And
that's otherkin, again, not furry. Furries are just people who dress up that way because they have fun. That's it. Like dressing up like Link from Zelda, or dressing up like Zelda from Zelda, or dressing up like Cloud or Barrett or whatever. Just having fun.
There's a girl who's a furry who identifies as an animal, and her mother badgered the school until they agreed to put a litter box in one of the stalls.
Because this is just completely made up. I'm sure I don't even need to say that. There's absolutely zero evidence for this. There's no school that's come out and said that this happened. There are no pictures. There was a picture circulating for a minute, but it turned out that the picture that was taken was at an airport for where people like let their pets use litter boxes at airports. So there was a litter box in a public bathroom for pets at the airport. That's what the picture was. There's no evidence whatsoever that this has ever happened, that anyone's even requested this. But Rogan, you know, having his audience of millions and millions, going to come out here and shoot from the hip anyway. Why not, right?
So this girl goes into the litter room, or to the girls' room, and urinates or whatever. I don't know if she poops in it. That's pretty gross.
Dude, why are you getting so specific about this?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you could teach your cat, by the way, here's the thing. If you could teach your cat to use the toilet, you would. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want a box of in your house. It's the worst. I've had cats my whole life. It's the worst thing about having cats. You got to clean.
You can actually do that. You can toilet train a cat. It's hard to do, I understand. It involves putting the litter box, like, basically in the toilet, or getting a special litter box that sits inside of the toilet. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. Maybe I should do that. Anyway, it sits inside the toilet, and eventually you get to the point where you can just pull the litter box out of the toilet, and the cat will just use the toilet. They can't flush, of course, but it's better than having to clean up after a cat and having this litter box and everything else.
That box of every day.
Yeah.
Like, it's the greatest thing about dogs. They go outside.
Anyway, Joe Rogan had a role in spreading the disinformation, of course, and it spread like wildfire. This is probably the strangest and most hilarious and sad clip that I've seen on the subject from Andrew Womack. This was him talking about knowing somebody who knows somebody who knew a furry or something.
A friend of mine in Illinois actually knows a teacher that comes to school as a furry and wears ears and a tail and uses a litter box at the front of the classroom to relieve himself.
How could he possibly believe this? He can't, right? He doesn't actually believe this, does he? Does he really think that there's somebody at a school using a litter box at the front of a classroom? If he's like, is he lying, or is he just a gullible fool? I don't know. It's got to be one or the other, right? Quick interjection. I promise this won't take long. Don't skip forward. I just want to shout out my Patreon. If you guys like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, watch the video to the end if you can, or at least a couple extra minutes. Every extra minute counts because YouTube bases video reach off of watch time. All right, back to the video. I mean, furries have been bizarrely the target of vitriol on the right for a while now. The right's been turning against them for, God. Well, I mean, some of these clips are from 2022. A lot of this is from 2022. But, you know, I guess conservatives have kind of moved on from the subject by and large until recently when Don Jr. picked it up. But what is their obsession with furries? This one is from late December 2022, so almost 2023.
I'm seeing a lot of occult, a lot of witchcraft, even students with pentagrams on their book bags. I'm seeing that all over the state. I've heard about that when I was campaigning, but then I'm still seeing that, the furry movement with the kids dressing up and as other animals and identifying as an animal instead of.
That's not what a furry is. Have you looked into this at all? Like, look at Julie Green's reaction on the right here to this.
As other animals and identifying as an animal instead of as a human, it's paving the way for bestiality.
Paving the way for bestiality. To just dress up and hang out with your friends and go to conventions and stuff. That is paving the way for bestiality. Get a grip on reality, guys. Seriously. This is insane. This is actually the source of it right here. This is from Michigan. This is Lisa Hansen, and it was posted by the New York Post originally. Let me see. It was late January 2022 when this clip originally came out, and it was at a school board meeting, I believe.
It was addressed by a child a couple months ago that they are put in an environment where there are kids that identify as a furry, a cat or a dog, whatever.
Okay, it was brought up by a child. Which child? Who? Tell me what you're talking about specifically. Hell, which school specifically? Can you tell me which school? Maybe which teacher? Let's narrow it down a little. We don't have to name the kid, but let's get a little more specific. No, she's not going to get specific. You know why? It's fake.
As a furry, a cat or a dog, whatever. And so yesterday I heard that at least one of our schools in our town has in one of the unisex bathrooms, a litter box.
Which one? Which school? She said at least one of the schools in our district. Which school specifically? These are weasel words. Means she's gesturing to some vague, ambiguous authority out there, or some thing that that doesn't exist in any real way, or that she can't prove, or that she's not going to specify. It's just they, them, some school in the district. She never actually names anybody. Weasel words. When you hear weasel words and the person has not specified the source, don't trust it. When you hear somebody say they, be skeptical, unless they've specified who they is.
The unisex bathrooms, a litter box for the kids that identify as cats. And I am really disturbed by that. And I will do some more investigation on that. I know what's going on.
She did literally zero investigation because it's fake.
Some more investigation on that. I know what's going on nationwide. I know it is.
No, it's not.
Part of the agenda that's being pushed. I don't
What agenda?
even want to understand it. But I think that people need to be aware of it, because I am really upset as a parent that my child is put in an environment like that.
Get a grip on reality, Lisa. She started a countrywide panic, tantamount to the satanic panic, almost. The trans panic is bad, really bad, and this is part of the trans panic, honestly. Trans people are not furries, furries are not trans, otherkin aren't even trans. This fake 4chan meme, it's not real, and they aren't trans. But conservative extremists like Lisa Hansen here are grouping it all together and view it all as the same. So the trans panic, I would say, is almost as bad as the satanic panic, but oh my God, was the satanic panic bad. Bad doesn't even begin to describe the satanic panic.
My child is put in an environment like that. And, I'm all for creativity and imagination, but when someone lives in a fantasy world and expects other people to go along with it, I have a problem with that. So I'm just putting that out there. I will investigate more.
Any investigation at all would be fantastic, like literally any. If she had done any investigation, she would have found that this whole thing's made up. In fact, she's probably the one that made it up, honestly. She was the source. This event right here was the source of a lot of the nonsense. This was the source of the entire panic of furries, dressing up and using litter boxes and blah, 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 whatever. Anyway, Joe Rogan came back and he had to apologize because it was fabricated. The whole thing was fake. And everybody knew that it was fake if they were on the left or just normal. But people on the right believed him. In fact, nearly his entire audience believed him because he stated it as fact. My friend's wife works at a school that installed a litter box. It's pretty on the nose, pretty on point. This is Michael Shermer. He's a famous atheist, the creator of Skeptic Magazine or something like that. Mad respect for the work that he's done and for the debates that he has had with some real nutcases. But Shermer is a nutcase in his own right. Shermer's actually terrible. He's like a right-wing crazy also. It's bizarre. Anyway, just check this out. This was Rogan's response after finally realizing that he was completely full of it.
Right? Or the kitty litter boxes in schools from last week. That got spread around as a meme because it kind of fit the conservative view of, liberals and their confusion about gender and sex and
But the kitty litter boxes is a weird one.
It is weird. It's it's more like an urban legend.
I fed into that, and I should probably clarify that a little bit. I have a friend, and my friend's wife is a school teacher. And she told him that there was discussions in the school that a mother wanted to put a litter box in one of the bathrooms.
I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. You know what? Maybe it's not Joe Rogan that's like the weak link in this chain. I don't know. Because we're like 3 degrees of separation off now. We have Joe Rogan, that's 1, has a friend, that's 2, whose wife, that's 3, knows people at the school, that's 4, who talked to a woman, that's 5, who wanted a litter box in the classroom. We're 5 degrees of separation away from this conversation. How can we even be sure this is real? How can we be sure that one of those 5 links on the chain wasn't a weak link or wasn't fabricating the whole thing? How can we be sure Joe wasn't? Even assuming Joe was an honest actor, we have to make room for the possibility that one of the other 5 or one of the other 4 was making it up.
And he told me this, and I talked about it on here, and then people were saying, that's not true, it's an internet rumor, so I contacted...
Yeah, it's an internet rumor. It's BS.
I told him again, and I said, tell me exactly what she said, and contact her and find out. She no longer works for that school, she works for another school.
Well, that's convenient, huh?
She contacted the other school, she didn't get a response.
Wow, how convenient is that? She conveniently doesn't work at the school anymore and asked them and couldn't get a response from them. Huh, weird, right? Almost as if she made the whole thing up all along and came up with some ridiculous excuse to get herself out of the fire.
School. She contacted the other school, she didn't get a response. I don't think they actually did it. I think there was discussions about doing it because there was one particularly wacky mother.
No, I don't believe it for a second. Because otherkin are fake. Otherkin, people who believe they have the soul of a dog or whatever, it's fake. It was fabricated by 4chan. It's pretend, okay? Nobody believes that. Of course, since the meme started, there have been a couple of people who made the claim. Just like there's some guy who gets off every time a balloon pops, or some dude who married a mannequin or whatever. I'm sure there are plenty of weirdos and nutcases out there who do stuff like that. But this is not a problem that exists anywhere, to any degree. I don't hear them complaining about balloon guy or mannequin dude.
But it doesn't seem that there's any proof that they put a litter box in there. The reason why I was interested in it and willing to entertain it was there was about...
Because you're a sucker and you want to buy into the right-wing framing. That's why. Just admit you are a sucker, Joe.
To entertain it was there was about 10 years or so ago, we went to... there was a UFC in Pittsburgh. And when we went there, as we landed, where we're driving from the airport to the hotel, we see all these people with mascot outfits on. We're like, what is going on? And we talked to this guy, and he said, there's a furry convention in town.
Okay, cool. People having a good time, cosplaying, dressing up, and hanging out, and doing all kinds of stuff, listening to speeches, and picking up, ribbons and things like that. Yeah, sounds great. Okay, go on.
And I said, wow, this is crazy. So they all decided to get together. So they were at bars and on the streets, and it was like a get-together. They used to do it in San Diego, but at the time San Diego was a little bit more conservative, and they were having a hard time doing it, so they moved it to Pittsburgh. And this was the year they moved it to Pittsburgh. This is according to him. So we check into the...
conferences commonly move all over the place. Pittsburgh, Arizona, Texas. I've gone to American Atheist conferences in all of those places that I just listed. Usually they're never in the same place. But okay, go on.
Pittsburgh. This is according to him. So we check into the hotel. The hotel, the guy who was working the front desk was saying how crazy it was. That these folks were asking for their food to be delivered in bowls on the ground so they could eat it like animals.
Okay, so how many degrees of separation are we now from this? We have Joe, that's one, who talked to some guy at the front desk, that's two, who, he's not delivering food, is he? Talked to the restaurant guy who delivers food, that's three, who talked to the furry person, four, who wanted their food in bowls. How many? Have you ever played telephone? You know, you sit there, you're on one end in, first grade or something, and the teacher gives you a phrase to say. It's like, one sentence long, and you whisper it to the guy next to you, and then they whisper it to the person next to them, and all the way down the line until the last person says what they heard. And it's complete garbled nonsense by the end of it. We're 4 degrees of separation off here. Even if I assume Joe isn't lying through his teeth. It's an absolutely ridiculous notion to think that this is a believable story to any degree. I've never heard of anybody ever doing this, and I know the furry community better than anybody who is not a furry. Just because I'm an artist. That's how my channel started. That's how I exploded. Through art. I used to draw stuff. I used to do line art in my videos while I talked. Furries are a massive part of my community. They always have been. I've literally never in my entire life ever heard of that.
So they could eat it like animals. And I'm like, that is crazy. And then he said
I can't believe Michael Shermer isn't calling him out for this.
They asked for a litter box in the lobby. Now, they didn't put a litter box into the lobby, but someone, according to this man, asked him for a litter box. I'm like, that is crazy. So I went...
It's just fabricated. Furries don't use litter boxes.
And did a deep dive online. I went to forums where furries go, because I was trying to find, is this a thing? Do they like to use litter boxes? Out of all of my searching, I could only find one poster, one guy who said he had used a litter box.
Wow. So one nutcase. As I said, there's a guy who gets off to popping balloons with needles. There's a guy who marries a mannequin, and I guess Joe did a deep dive search on the dark web to find the one guy who uses litter boxes. Good job, Joe.
So this one person who was saying that he thought it was kinky and he'd like to use it, he, they, it, them, whatever.
This is completely fabricated. Are you serious? It's like he's continuing or it's like he's perpetuating the nonsense as he's debunking it.
It, them, whatever. Like to use a litter box. So that was all I could find. So is that something that people do, or is it something that people talk about doing? Because
No, it's not. It's something that you talk about other people doing. No one is doing that.
It's fun. I don't know.
It's fun?
But one of the things that I found about these furries is it's sexual in some sort of weird way.
There is a small subculture of furries who are into it for the whole weird sex thing. And the vast majority of furries don't want anything to do with that. They want to cut that out of their community and kind of ban it by and large because it makes everybody look bad, basically. So yeah, I suppose Joe stumbled upon some weird little kink website or something where some people were talking about some sexual stuff. Wow, good job, Joe. Those are hard to find, right? Anyway, that's Joe Rogan. He's responsible for a lot of this disinformation, and it's shameless. And I cannot even believe that Michael Shermer didn't push back on all of the BS that Joe just spewed on that show. This one, by the way, this video that we're watching here, this one was from early November 2022. Lisa Hansen started spreading her nonsense late January 2022. So all of 2022, 2023, and now 2024, we've got people like even Don Jr. talking about furries who believe that they're like an animal rather than a human. Just fabricated garbage. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. All fandoms have a sexual aspect to them. Comic fans, yep. Star Trek fans, yep. Anime fans, we don't talk about that. Yeah, that's good. It's a good point, Nerico. I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. Every fandom has a sexual component to it. Everything does. That's just the nature of people. That's just what people do. That's who they are. That's how they operate. First time in reality? I think it's wild how many kinks people have, but why is one worse than the other? It's because of the kids. But why is one worse than the other? It's because of the kids. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that children should be involved in kink anything at all to any degree ever. I think that they need to discover that stuff on their own when they're old enough, when they're mentally and emotionally mature enough to discover it on their own. Yeah, just leave children out of it, and we're good to go. And children aren't involved in any of this stuff anyway. There are a lot of kids who are involved in the furry fandom stuff because it's fun. There is no sexual component to it for children. They're just, they like wolves, and they dress up like wolves, and they draw wolves, and they talk about wolves a lot and stuff. What's wrong with people having interests? I don't get it. Why are these people so obsessed with what other people enjoy doing in their spare time? Seriously. I met that one guy who gets off every time a balloon pops. He wanted me to dress up as a cowboy and blow up balloons. Not my thing, but he was harmless. Yeah, I mean, people generally are harmless, Like, who cares? Let him get off to balloon popping. I don't give a shit. Go nuts. If that's your thing, then do it. Don't let me stop your fun. People are just stupid, man. People get bent out of shape over absolutely nothing. I don't get why right-wing extremists are so, infuriated by people just living their lives and being who they are and doing what they want. Jesus Christ, man. Pull it together.